Apostle Michael L. Favors is founder and CEO of the Empowerment Action Center Incorporated, a Florida-based ministry and leadership training organization based in numerous cities. He is also the head of Peace International Network, a global network of pastors and leaders around the country and abroad. He holds a M. Division degree and is recognized by many as one of this generation's emerging thought leaders. He also manages and oversees multiple lucrative companies, including the Occupy Now real estate company and the Essential Leaders Institute. As a leadership and business specialist, Apostle Favors enjoys teaching and training others in business, entrepreneurship, leadership, and financial education in non-traditional settings. His intricate knowledge on transformational leadership and business development has helped hundreds of people. Phronesis Readers Club, please let's make welcome Apostle Michael L. Favors.
Okay, hello everyone. All right, we are back. Please forgive us for having a hard time with the network here. I don't know what is wrong, but we are back now, okay? So please kindly invite people as we invite Apostle Michael Favors to come on board now.
All right. Good evening, and good afternoon, and good morning to those of you all who are watching this via replay. Daniel, can you all hear me good and clear?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. We can.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Hey, I know all about technology and what it takes to pull off an event so major like this. But first, let me just say thank you and to all of the leaders in the club for having me once again. I'm not a stranger to you all, but it is a joy to share with you and your group over there in Nigeria. And so with that being said, is there any particular agenda or things, or would you like me just to, go ahead and have a few words like we did before? Okay. Let me do this real quick here. Let me see here, the brightness of my screen. If I can turn that down. Okay. All right, here we go. So then with that being said, if you all can hear me clearly, we're here to discuss leadership, particularly, let me take this off for a second, see my glare, particularly you all leadership from the standpoint of what it takes to become a leader and things of that nature. And if you stick around toward the end, I do have some gifts for you all. I've done some things to prepare some things for the community because you all are a community of readers and I want you all to read as much as possible, okay? So with that being said, we're going to look at this piece about live to lead. Now, the first thing I want you all to understand about this book in terms of Live to Lead is how it is written. If you have started reading and you have been made aware or you are given the PDF, then you can see what looks like mistakes in the book, all right? In terms of the format. That is not a mistake. We wrote the book with that format in mind to show our leaders and a group of leaders where I was at the time that you don't have to be a perfect individual. And so if you're taking notes, I want you to understand that the imperfections of the book are to mirror the imperfections that we go through as leaders. And many people think that when you become a leader, you got to have all your stuff together. You got to be in such a place to whereas you are beyond approachable and you can't make mistakes. And I'm here to tell you now that that is not the case. So the first thing you notice when you look through the book and you scan through the book, you're going to notice it looks as if certain things is out of whack, but they are not. That is intentional. Now, because leaders are not perfect, you all, I want to give you a few things that leaders do that speaks to their abilities to be imperfect, but still be great leaders, okay? So now, number one is leaders tend to learn along the journey. This makes them imperfect in a way because there are some things that they don't know when they first start out. And I want to encourage some of you all even now that just because you don't know everything does not mean you do not start. You start right now because rest assured, leadership is a constant growing and evolving industry, okay? The next thing is great lessons are achieved from mistakes. And of course, this is just the intro, but great lessons are achieved from mistakes. It is absurd to think that you're not going to make mistakes. And if you know that you're going to make mistakes and that you have room to make mistakes, you build a culture that says, you know what, even though we make mistakes, we learn from them. So then every mistake becomes an opportunity for growth and development. I want you all to write that down. Every mistake you make on your leadership journey is an opportunity for growth and development. And then, of course, they are not afraid to risk perfection. Listen, throughout my tenure, been in leadership for over 2 decades now, going on 22, 23 years. I've learned that those individuals who are perfectionists, if you will, many times they don't get started. Many times they don't complete things when they do get started because they want it to be so perfect. Listen, Jesus is the only perfect being that we have, okay? And so I want you to understand that you are not called to have to be perfect. You just have to do your best. So as young budding leaders, you all, I want you to understand that you do not be afraid to make a mistake. Don't be afraid to risk perfection. Understand that great lessons are achieved from your mistakes and you're going to make those. Understand that you're going to learn along the way as well. You can be prepared now, don't get me wrong, but with the preparing of the preparation, you're still going to have time to learn along the journey, and you're not perfect as a leader. So please don't expect your people to treat you as such. Don't allow them to treat you as such. With that being said, let's get into this book. Now, I have a few chapters that I outline for you all today that I want to expound on. Of course, you have the book, you got the ebook, we made that available for you. Like I said, stick around to the end because I'm going to be giving you all some gifts and things of that nature as well. But a few chapters that I wanted to highlight that I think is worth expounding on. And the first one is The Call. So let me pull up my ebook real quick. The Call. This particular chapter is chapter 1. And it says, and I quote, "The call, be glad you answered. You should never be afraid to answer the phone." Now, ring, ring, ring. Hello, friend. I'm glad you answered. The fact that you answered, the fact that you're reading the book now means that you have answered the call to leadership. It is important to know that leadership is a broad topic. So let me explain a few characteristics that will help you. All right. In this portion of the book, I go into what I call the T leader and the A leader. You know for reading, and to some of our viewers who are watching by replay for the first time, the T leader is the leader, quote unquote, the leader. The A leader is a leader that is in the organization or under the T leader's tutelage, okay? Now, what's most important is to understand now is the match or the tennis match between the T leader and the A leader. What does that mean? First of all, I want you to understand that the T leaders seek out A leaders. If I am a T leader, which means I am the leader of, say, Essential Leaders Institute, then I'm looking for other leaders who would become A leaders who can take instruction, follow instructions, and who can implement those instructions, okay? So with that being said now, if I'm the T leader, Essential Leaders, and I give one of you all, say, for example, Daniel, I give you an assignment in the organization and you teach a course. At that moment, if I come to your classroom, I then have to switch places with you, swap places with you, and become the A leader. And for that moment in time, for that lecture for 90 or 120 minutes, you are the T leader. Now, hear me when I tell you this. Many leaders have a problem with sharing the stage and sharing the limelight. And it is my plight in this book to show them how if you can play a good tennis match between the T leader and the A leader, your organization will be strengthened. Your leadership team will grow and it will strengthen, okay? So what does that mean now? For that moment of time, the A leader is the instructor, he is or she, the teacher, and they have the stage, which means they are the authority for that 90 to 120 minutes. Once they are done, they then pass the baton or hit the tennis ball, the proverbial ball, back over the net to the T leader, and the T leader resumes his or her place of authority in the company. And I hope that makes sense to you all, because I had a few people who told me that, they really didn't grasp the concept until I broke it down to them like that. Now, the next thing that is important for this to happen, this transference of authority between the T leader, the A leader, is the ability to have a mutual respect. And of course, I'm giving you things that are not necessarily in the book, but it's going to highlight and underscore some of the things that's in the book. So when you think about a mutual respect, what do we mean by that? If there is not a level of respect for the expertise and what one another brings to the table, let me tell you something. The worst thing in the world is to sit under a leader who does not respect who you are and what you do. That's the worst situation to be in, because you get used, you get abused, you get talked down to, and that means they really don't value you. Okay, great leaders value those who they lead. They listen to their A leaders. T leaders always respect the expertise, the understanding, the knowledge, the wisdom of the leaders, of the A leaders who they are leading. And I want to encourage you all, no matter where you are, if you are in leadership, you're a young budding leader, always respect those who you lead. And if you're going to call them to work with you, if you're going to be in leadership, if you're going to be in a covenant agreement with them, then have enough respect and honor for them, okay? And now this is the third point under this chapter, the call. It says that honor works both ways. If the T leader expects to be honored when the company is doing great, then the A leaders and the employees should be honored as well, because honor works both ways. If you're in an organization and the only one getting the honor is the one who owns and leads the organization, then sometimes you can feel devalued, undervalued. And this is why many people jump ship. Many people abandon that organization and go somewhere else where they are, here it is, appreciated. When you honor those you work with, those who you build with, they feel appreciated. And that means they tend to stick around a little longer, okay? So when you understand this, another quote in the book is, the A leader is the person or persons who are assigned to facilitate and help in the accomplishment of those assignments. So now we talk about shared leadership, and sharing leadership or shared leadership is the sharing of responsibilities. Let me tell you something, and I'm gonna move to the next chapter. Many A leaders who really understand that they have value ascribe to become T leaders eventually. But here's the thing, there's an old saying that you can't have all chiefs and no Indians. Whoa, think about this. If we build our organization in such a way where even though we have a chief, we also have captains and lieutenants who have authority over particular smaller groups in the organization, then at that moment, you have T leaders and A leaders working together cohesively to build, to run, and to maintain this company or whatever your leadership in ministry, what have you. If you use that perspective and understand that it is a shared vision, I guarantee you, your leadership style will be sought after. People will want you to come talk to them more. People will respect you more, and they'll want, and let me tell you something, we don't talk about this much, but there in the industry of growth and development, leadership is a real hot topic, and people will pay to hear you speak to them in the same fashion that we're doing this right here, all right? So that's one of the important chapters, the very first chapter that I wanted to expound on. And of course, if you all have questions, please write those questions down, and I think we'll open it up toward the end so that you can have a Q&A session. The next chapter is chapter 4, and I believe it's chapter 4. It's called Live to Lead. Let me make sure. Chapter 2, Embrace. Yep, chapter 4, Live to Lead. Now, live to lead, lead to live. Quote, optimizing your personal life by taking on the challenge of leading is not on the radar of the average citizen in any country. Think it not strange that in today's COVID-19 climate, you all, and beyond, success is determined by those who seek to find and solve the problems of the world. I want to encourage you now and say to you that if you want to be a successful leader with rapid results, you must flesh out and intentionally employ lifestyle strategies of leading. Now, what does that mean to us, lifestyle strategies? Here's where I want to dig a little deeper with you. Living to lead requires a total different approach and behavior, and it requires an action plan that many people don't receive as children and many have to find or stumble upon much later in life. With that being said, what is this action plan? What do we, this lifestyle that we have to understand? So the first point I want you to write down is simply this: leadership is a lifestyle in terms of ethics. Okay, ethics. I remember when I was in college working toward my master's degree, I had a teacher who loved to talk about the Nicomachean theory and ethics, and talks about friendship and love and adelphoi, which is Greek for friendship, brotherly love. And you always used to say that you had to work toward these relationships, and that speaks to a man or a woman's value and system of ethics, right? And so I want you to understand that leadership is a lifestyle of ethics. It's a work ethic, which simply says leaders, especially those, you can identify them too when they're young, because true leaders, you all, natural born leaders, will tend to work more and play less, whereas its counterparts tend to play more and work less. I'm gonna say that one more time. Natural born leaders, those who really want to take the helm and become leaders, great leaders, they tend to work more and play less, which simply means they like to play games. We like to enjoy life, but to be on a certain level and a certain caliber, as my mentor John Maxwell once said, if you really want to go up the steps of leadership, then it becomes mundane, perfunctory, and almost boring, because it always seems like you're working. But to the leader, it's not work. It is our lifestyle. It is a ethics that we have. A strong work ethic will always make you a better leader. Here's the reason why. Even if you don't possess the qualities, I would rather take a C student who is a hard worker than an A student who is lackadaisical and avoids responsibilities because they don't want to be accountable for the mistakes in the life. So when we talk about the lifestyle of leadership, we're talking about the work ethics. Now, don't get me wrong. All work and no play is not healthy for anyone. You have to enjoy your Sabbath rest. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, when you learn that to do what you love to do, if leadership is something that you love to do, then it is not a burden and it doesn't feel like work. So case in point, when I'm going and traveling, you all, I always buy leadership books from different parts of the world, particularly in the airports. And I noticed that I do this with my team in mind. I thumb through a book and say, this would be good for that particular team leader. This would be good for this particular team leader. Oh, wow, this would be great for our institute, and I can make a program and write curriculum out of that. Did y'all see the mindset? Most people going on trips and things to take a vacation, and they just thinking about everything else but work. Whereas when I take vacations, I'm always thinking about how to embetter people, how to empower my team, how to empower those who come into contact with me. And I do it so much, you all, that it has become, the next point I want to share with you, it has become a habit, okay? Now, leadership, ladies and gentlemen, is a habit. You always can tell a great leader by their daily habits. Your daily habits is what controls your behavior patterns. We would call it in our world, your subconscious. Subconscious mind controls your habits. It controls your bodily, your behavior, And with the controlling of your behaviors, you have these daily habits. So if you have a habit of getting up and learning something new, I tell every leader in my church, in our Leadership Institute, who work with me in some of our various businesses and, the Forex team that I teach and train, all of them, I always tell them, seek to learn something new every day. If you're going to be a leader, and I might add a marketplace entrepreneur, the advantage is always being on the cutting edge, which means you have to be a learner fanatic, if you will. You have to be willing to research and see what's next coming before the masses see it. That keeps you ahead of the ball. It keeps you ahead of the game. That's what entrepreneur really is, okay? Entrepreneurship. So when you talk about a work ethic in terms of a lifestyle, and then you add to that your daily habits, this is why I love the Phoenicians Club, because what you all read, the books you read on a regular basis, can help shape and mold your perspective and help guide. Reading and learning and wisdom and knowledge becomes a guiding light unto your path as a leader. And when you understand that, then you seek, if I could show you all my shelf of books about leadership, I'm telling you, it would crack you up. Excuse me, let me cut that off now so that won't happen again. It would literally crack you up of all the books that I have on leadership, all right? But when you leadership is a habit, don't make, oh yes, but when you make it a habit of doing these things, then it becomes uncumbersome. It is not burdensome because it is something that you enjoy doing. I love learning. I love systems. I'm a very systematic thinker. And so when you think about this and you have a habit of learning something new every day, it almost propels you to the position of a leader, because those who are around you who do not read need you to decipher and filter information for them. And thank you all for those who are watching and viewing this, okay? Don't forget to write your questions down, because I would love to answer some of those questions when we get ready to wrap up. So now, back to this piece right here, you all. Under the chapter of Live to Lead, understand that leadership is a lifestyle, which means it's a work ethic. Number 2, understand that leadership is habits. Your daily habits form your leadership style. Now, this brings me to number 3 of the perpetual learning. Leadership is perpetual learning, you all. Great leaders are always reading. Once again, when I would go spend time with John Maxwell down in Orlando, Florida, we would go down there for these intensive training sessions, like 5 days long. And I heard him say one year that everywhere he goes, he keeps a note of quotes. He keeps a notebook of quotes. So every time he's inspired and sees something, he write down these quotes and what inspired him so he could put them in his next book. I grabbed a hold to that, you all, and of course we got these nice phones, these iPhones. And so everywhere I go, and when I'm paying attention to things, and when I'm learning something new, I'm always jotting down quotes that might be able to go into my next book. And this is why to date, I think I've written about 8 books, and I got several more that I'm working on, right? Because I am a perpetual learner. And as a leader now, it is not good enough for me just to learn for myself. I have to learn to empower others. That's what I want you to understand about the live to lead and lead to live concept. It is a concept that says you don't mind taking the helm, taking the lead to go find and search out information that can better those behind you. That's what this is all about. Perpetual learning means that I am a perpetual teacher. Great leaders, you all, learn so that they can teach their team. Lead. John says leadership is knowing the way, going the way, right? I'm telling you right now, leadership is learning so you can teach. And then the last piece under this particular chapter, Live to Lead, is leadership is a decision. No more and no less. You have to decide if you're going to be a leader. Once you decide that you want to be a leader, let me tell you, all you have to do is build upon the foundation. And this is why I believe that everyone is a leader in some way, shape, form, or fashion. You were born with the capacity for leadership. Now all you have to do is cultivate that leadership. And when you cultivate the leadership, that means reading the books, going to the seminars, doing things like this, getting involved in conferences, taking the information and applying it to your life. Now, some people have a problem with how to apply the information that they learn from a setting like this. And I'm gonna tell you now, you all stick around because I got something for you on that. That's gonna help you apply what you learn, okay? Now, the next book or the next chapter that I believe is worth expounding on, and then we'll open it up for Q&A because I got 30 minutes worth of teaching almost, and I wanna give you all 15 to 20 minutes this time to ask your questions. Chapter 5, learn from it. Don't be afraid to fail. I think that's pretty straightforward. Let me see here. Supernatural, boundary box, chapter 9. Now, this happens to be, I believe, one of the shortest chapters in the book, but has one of the most powerful implications if you get on board. Now, the boundary box. You need to free yourself from the boundary box. Before I go any further, let me just say this. This particular book was written for a group of people. We had a conference that we were going to in Ghana, Africa, and they asked me to bring the Empowerment Action Center. We was going to plant a church over there, but COVID-19 hit. We still have aspirations to go, but right now, you all know as well as I know that COVID is serious and we have to kind of do things a different way. But I was still able to write the piece, and what happened was one of my team leaders said, well, if you wrote it for them, why don't you just print it and then we can still send it over there? So once again, this is why it's written in such a way, because I knew that I was going to be in front of a group of people expounding on these lessons. And sometimes you get let me tell you something, if you can just sit and have a talk with a great leader just like this, that's when you get the most. So I encourage you all now, write down all your questions, because that's another way to get the best out of it. When you can talk to an author about their work while reading their work, let me tell you, that's what makes our DMin programs, the doctoral programs, so effective. When I just graduated with my doctorate this year, is that we had the ability to ask the professors, because we were reading their books, we had the ability to ask them, what were you dealing with? What were you thinking? What was the environment, the milieu, if you will, around what you were doing when you wrote this statement? And man, when I tell you all that they begin to open up and just take us on a journey, it's nothing. See, I get excited when I talk about it because I love learning. It was just nothing sort of amazing. But here it is, you all. First, let me say this. Your boundary box. Let me give you this definition because I didn't put this in the book on purpose. The boundary box is, or are those things that makes up your environment. So here's the thing. Even though this is the shortest chapter, you all, it can be the most powerful because it speaks to you getting out of your comfort zone. Now, once you understand that your boundary box are those boundaries that you grew up in, I want you to consider something for a minute. Consider this. When you were a child, and if you ever had a coloring book, when you were a child, you could color in the book. You can color all outside the lines, have any colors on there, and you would still get, oh, that's a beautiful, oh, that's just a good job. You could write outside the lines and no one said anything. It wasn't until you got to organized education that someone told you to write outside the line, to draw outside the line was not a good thing. Even so, they then put you in an org, and I'm not against education, organized education, but I am saying that sometimes we get to a place where we have to challenge the very thing. So now watch, we get to a point to where we were taught and trained coming up, you all, that it was not good to think outside the line as well. Think about all the dreams you had, how you could just make believe and play and have a powerful imagination. Yeah, let me tell you something. As leaders today, we have to tap into some of those old abilities that we had when we were children. To dream again and think outside of the box, you all, to think outside of possibilities. Let me tell you something. This is how individuals can produce buildings that lean to the side. And you go to Dubai and other countries and other worlds, you all, other continents and things of that nature, and you see different things that don't look like how you were when you were at home. This is how you expand your way of thinking, expand your leadership abilities, to start thinking outside of the box. So when we talk about this being a strong piece right here, here's another note I want you to take. Number 1.1 under this topic, escape your boundary box. You have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone, yes, but more importantly, you have to be willing to try something new. New concepts always keep a leader on the cutting edge. New concepts, trying some things. Some things you try won't work, but I'm saying don't be afraid to try them, because you never know what may. The one thing that you needed to spark your team to grow your company to a Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 company was you doing one thing that's different than your competitors. Now, remember, I'm in business as well. So I have a business concept where I'm always looking to see what are my competitors not doing. And if we do what they're not doing, which is find a need, fulfill a need, then we have sales. We begin to do business, and business is good. So that's the thing. Think outside the box by trying new concepts. The second thing is get outside the box, you all. Advance the old systems by challenging them in good taste. I'm going to read that one more time. Advance the old systems by challenging them in good taste. Now, well, Apostle, Dr. Favors, what does that look like? That simply says we understand that we have left the industrial age and we are in a technology age, right? That don't mean we criticize to the point of saying that we don't need or didn't need what our mothers and fathers did. right? They lay the foundation. Think about that. We don't critique to the point to where we say we no longer need a keyboard. Because I remember a time when we had typewriters. Now we got computers, and now we'll have some stuff we can just talk and we got stuff we can just talk and dictate into type for you. But each one of those stages built foundations that we're now standing on. So when you get ready to talk to your professor or your leaders, great leaders want their followers, if you will, to be better than them. Just like a father would want his son to be a better father than him. Mother a better mother than her daughter, right? A daughter a better mother than she was. But what I'm saying is when you learn how to challenge those old systems in good taste, you don't challenge them to tear them down. Come on, leaders. You then challenge them to build them up. Ah, man. Listen, when you can take inventors, do you all know that some inventors don't create something new? They just reconstruct the old. I don't want to sound preachy, but you have to understand that we are not finding nothing new in the earth. What we are doing is reconfiguring everything that God created in the beginning. Oh, okay. This is leadership, but y'all, I am a pastor, okay? But think about that, you all. So now we get to scrutinize and look at things of old and say, how could we rework that to make it better, to make it bigger, to advance it more? That's the concept that I'm saying about getting out of the boundary box. You first get out of the boundary box with your mentality, ladies and gentlemen. As a leader, your counterparts and people around you may not see your ability to lead. They can't see you because they don't know the hours of study that you've undergone. But at one moment, when someone asks you a question and you begin to open up your mouth and speak with such a level of profoundness, then you have shocked the world. Then you have shocked the instructors who thought that you were going this path, and now they will reconsider you. They will reconfigure their thoughts about you as a leader. Oh man, I'm talking to somebody today. So, old systems by challenging them in good taste. And then the next one is explore possibilities that others overlook. We had a saying growing up here in the States that another man's trash could be another man's treasure. Another woman's trash could be another woman's treasure. What does that mean? That means where you are in life. To some people, a session like this, a workshop like this, wouldn't be valuable because they would, for whatever reason, they're focused on something else. But for those of you who see yourself in leadership, who desire to be a better leader, then you can take some of these concepts, as simple as they are, and change the world. Seriously, you all. Once again, when you explore possibilities, the exploration of possibilities is akin to the sky being the limit. Now, here's the thing. If the sky is the limit, then really there are no limits once you really start exploring possibilities that others overlook. Because the sky keeps going on and on. You go through the ionosphere, the troposphere, the stratosphere. You keep on going into interplanetary space and then further and beyond. So I would tell you that when you get out of the boundary box, getting out of the boundary box, seeing past your comfort zone, puts you in a place of limitless possibilities. And I want to speak to the young mind today, the young budding leaders right now, that you may have been overlooked, you may have been undervalued, but don't give up. Keep studying, keep learning something new every day. And when the moment of opportunity presents itself, you put your hand in up. You put your hat in the basket. Hey, give me an opportunity to show you all what I can do. And you will be more than ready because you're always learning something new. And you have a mentality that says, I live to lead. Thus, I'm ready. All right. With that being said, those are the 3 chapters that I wanted to expound that I believe that would be great for you all to see now today. Perhaps if we have time, we can come back for another session or something like that. But it is very important that we open it up right now for Q&A. Daniel, is that good for you? Can we do that? Because I love answering questions. I want to hear the people. I want to read, see where we are, see what we got. Can we do that, sir?
Wow, wow. All right. Thank you so much, sir. I was paying close attention, and it seems I just read the book afresh again.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much. Okay, please, you can drop your questions on the comment section now. Yeah, I believe most of you have questions to ask, so you can please kindly drop your questions on the comment section. I would place it on the screen so everyone can see it. Okay. So please kindly drop your question in the comment section quickly. Yeah, and for those of you that missed the introduction of our guest, I would play it later, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But for now, kindly drop your questions in the comment section. Okay, let's go on a short break while you do that.
Okay. So here's something that I have for you all for the Phronesis Readers Club. And this is for those who can, all right? If you all visit my website, go to mikefavors.com, you will notice, and you click store, go to mikefavors.com and click store. I've made available some books for you all, some ebooks for a small purchase of $5 USD. All right. And I know some of you all, some may be challenged, some may not, but I still want to put it out there. And I'm going to leave it up there for the entire weekend, possibly next week, just for you all. But that is also for processing and things of that nature. But I got several books over there that I know, one of which that I want to challenge you all to get is the 8 Laws of Implementation. It's a green and white book, but that book teaches you how to implement the things that you learn. You'd be surprised how many people go to a conference similar to this one, a workshop, but they take all these notes, but they don't know how to apply what they're learning. Well, I want to give you this piece. I want to say to you now that if you do that, get that book right there. That book is changing lives, okay? And it's available for $5 US. And I did that with a lot of the books. So I think out of 8, 7 of them, if not, 7 of them, all of them, except my latest book, which is the 7 Principles of Success. All of them are at that price just for you all, okay? And I put it up on some other things. I'll post it up in here during the chat, okay? So with that being said, do we have any questions? Going once.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for that. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, please release some of the questions. Quickly drop your questions on the comment section. Please be fast about it, okay? Yes, guys, please quickly do that. So save time. Okay, and if you missed the intro, let me kindly play it.
Apostle Michael L. Favors is founder and CEO of the Empowerment Action Center Incorporated, a Florida-based ministry and leadership training organization based in numerous cities. He is also the head of Peace International Network, a global network of pastors and leaders around the country and abroad. He holds a M. Division degree and is recognized by many as one of this generation's emerging thought leaders. He also manages and oversees multiple lucrative companies, including the Occupy Now real estate company and the Essential Leaders Institute. As a leadership and business specialist, Apostle Favors enjoys teaching and training others in business, entrepreneurship, leadership, and financial education in non-traditional settings. His intricate knowledge on transformational leadership and business development has helped hundreds of people. Phronesis Readers Club, please let's make welcome Apostle Michael L. Favors.
Okay. Oh, man. Okay, Daniel, if that's it, man, I think we had a great session here, and I look forward to hearing from some of the feedback from people who can watch this at a later time. And of course, once we get the internet speed connected, then I would love to come back and share again. Just let me know. And to everyone who's watching this on our page via YouTube, thank you all. And don't forget to click the link below to see what other classes and courses that we have to offer.